The Bosstiary got added in the summer of 2022 and is a way to increase your odds at looting items. On my last video I explained that in more detail and you should check it out if you are not sure how it works, but the short version is that by doing bosses you get points in return, which will slowly increase the bonus percent you get at the selected boss, and once you get to 1500 points you get a second slot to add another boss to it. At the making of this video you can remove a boss from the slot to add a different one free of cost every day, and with the second slot you get one more boss for a total of 3 bosses per day. I am hoping that changes in the future, since in my opinion you should get one reroll on each slot. But with that aside, let's break down how I got to my 1500 boss points. My solo boss run starts in Netherrealm by doing the 5 were creature bosses, part of the Greenbelt quest, which are doable for level 100s. Then I move to Porthope, at the bow, start spamming for a shortcut to any city, until you land on any of the deserted islands. This one in particular is part of the secret library quest. You need to grab the scroll inside the cave, get the dowser from the pile of trash, and then use the telescope during nighttime. Then use the dowser on the raft and it takes you to Fibula. You must do this for your first time only. If you land on the island again, then just go straight to the raft, but the goal from this is to get to this one. This teleport will take you to a Fey mini boss. This is a nemesis boss that only takes 5 kills for 100 points, and it comes down to luck on how often you land at this island. For me it took less than 15 days, but for others it could be a month. You can attempt taking the shortcut every 24 hours and it only goes on cooldown once you land on one of the islands. After that, I go back to Porthope and do the 3 flimsy mini bosses, part of the Fifter of Soul quest. These can be risky to run to for the lower levels, but the difficulty of the bosses is of level 250s, so I recommend around level 350 for them. Next, I move towards the Asura Palace and do the newly added 3 Asura mini bosses. These require to kill the non-Asuri monsters in the palace every time, so being able to run through the palace is recommended, so at least level 200. After that, I go into the Asura Mirror to kill the true Asura mini bosses, part of the secret library quest. These I don't recommend doing, and I only do them because I can run through the true Asura safely, but that will need over level 500 or so. After that, I go towards the Cobra Bastion to do a Scarlet, part of the Order of the Cobra for level 250s. Next up, I go towards the Lion Sanctum to do the mini bosses there, part of the Greenbelt quest as well. And similar to the flimsies, the difficulty is running to the bosses, which I would recommend over level 200 or 250. After that, I take the carpet to Marapur and do Kusuma there, a mini boss part of the Within the Tides quest and easily doable by a level 200. Lastly, I do the 3 mini bosses in Isabi, part of the Kilmaresh quest. One of them is inside the city, but the others are a bit harder to get to, so the level recommended will be of over 350. But similar to the true Asura bosses, I don't recommend doing this. Overall, this is a very standard solo run, and I only needed to get them to 20 kills for 40 points each. I don't plan on fully unlocking them because, as I said on my other video, after the 2k points it starts to become too hard and slow to unlock extra percentage, and overall doing this run every day is too much of a grind. But I might finish the Were Creature bosses and the Were Lions since they are the easiest and less time consuming. That covers up what I do solo, and it takes me an average 40 minutes at my level. Moving on to a team, I do Oberon, Droom, Timira and the Magma Bubble. The first 3 I could do solo, but it just takes way more time and I'd rather do them with my team since they also want to do them. But additionally to that, the best bosses to do every day are the Dream Core bosses. All of them except the final are of the Nemesis category, so only 5 kills are needed for 100 points. However, every day it alternates the boss from the 5 of them, but by doing them every day you will get 500 points in 25 days, which is the most time efficient way to get points. Additionally, all 3 types of Iskandar counts as different bosses, so him alone is worth to continue doing for the extra 200 points in the long run. With that said, in the 25 days with doing the bosses I mentioned is enough to get 1840 points. So I didn't need to kill any of the Great Danger, Death, Calls of Tibia, Heart of Destruction and other bosses that are commonly done by teams every day, which in the long run are more time consuming. However, here is some tips for the extra boss points. First, do the task for the last mission of the Children of Revolution quest. This can be repeated every 7 days even if you have completed the quest, and 8 minutes into the fight, the Lizard Gate Guardian spawns. This is a Nemesis boss, so after 5 weeks you get 100 points. Next up, the Devoborga World Change. By checking on the bulletin board, you can see if the world event is active with this message. When it is, you can take a portal in Bengoth and there you can exchange tentacle pieces to kill one of the mini bosses. With 10 pieces, you can fully complete complete a Mantra, the easiest in difficulty. Irasea and Teneshpar will need 25 and 40 pieces, which are harder to get, and the last two, Shikaton and Prodomo, you can just wait until the actual Devil Workout event during the first week of September, and also during this, you can get tentacle pieces by doing the event with alternate characters or buy them from players. Keep an eye out for that this year, since they will be on high demand. Next up is the daily boosted bosses. For this one, I highly recommend to do the ones that you have a chance of doing again, otherwise you will end up with a boss at 3 kills for a long time. But additionally, if you can play around 4 hours before and after server save, then you can do the daily boosted boss twice by doing it after SS and then repeat it again before SS. This is a big advantage for players that can't play at those times and is intended to remain that way. Lastly, there is a variety of Nemesis bosses that you can try to find. For example, the Dwarf and Hunter boss that can spawn during the world change in Porthole, the Pits of Inferno mini bosses, the Vampire Lords, and a variety of different raid bosses, for which I highly recommend to go to the raids of them, but make sure to do as much damage as you can for the kill to count. And that's all I got for this video. In general, I recommend to get to 1500 points for the second boss slot, and then after that just do bosses that you actually want to do. Thank you for watching, and a special thanks to Tuna Hero, Dor the Slasher, and Night Star.